Hi guys, so today I am going to be talking about how to prioritize goals. I got a question from Lindsey in the Smart 20s community on Facebook about how I prioritize my goals. She said that she has a lot of things she wants to work towards and she really struggles to pick a direction. So this is, sorry, I have a fan and because it's really hot when I talk a lot and it just is tickling my face. My hair. Okay. If you don't already know, I don't edit these videos for a couple of reasons. One, I know that I will over edit them and then eventually convince myself not to post them if I let myself. So I'm stopping that. But also I just wanted to be like, if I was sitting down to chat to you, how it would actually be. And obviously there would be no editing with that. So that's why you get shit like that. So Lindsey asked how to prioritize goals. So today I'm going to be sharing my advice on how to really start moving the needle forward, the process that I use, my experience, a few examples. So I hope you find this helpful. You can email me sam@smart-20s.com if you have any questions you'd like to ask me or that you'd like to have me make a video about. And I get a lot, but I will do my very, very best to reply to everyone. So thank you in advance. I've written down a few notes just because I get really into this stuff and I can lose my train of thought a bit. So I am going to run through all of that, but the situation we're talking about here is essentially where you have a lot of areas of your life that you want to improve at once. So you might have a health and fitness goal you want to work towards, you want to eat healthy, exercise, all that kind of thing. You might also have a career goal you're working towards, or a business goal, a relationship goal. Maybe you're single and you want to not be single or you are already in a relationship and you want to get married or whatever. Just any kind of goal is my point here. A personal development goal, which I highly recommend, by the way. Also, I just want to say I went and got a coffee this morning from my local, went for a walk, and they don't do small. I should have asked for half strength, but I'm new to coffee and I can literally only handle one shot of coffee per day. And I think this had two. So I'm just feeling that. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, any kind of goal is what we're talking about here, and just the problem that arises when you have so many that you want to achieve at the same time that you don't know where to put your energy. And what either ends up happening is you feel so overwhelmed by everything you want to achieve that you do nothing because it all seems like too much, or you try to do them all at once and you barely make any progress in any of them because you're trying to do 20 things at once and you really can't make any momentum happen when you're only putting a little bit of energy into a lot of things. So if you can guess from that, my answer to this question really is to pick one goal to focus on, to put all the others on the bench for now, to just focus on that one goal and focus on it until you create enough momentum with it that it's really getting somewhere, and then you can start to pursue one of the other ones and go from there. So how I choose that goal to focus on is really by thinking about a few questions. The first is, if there was only one thing I could achieve, what would I want it to be? So often we don't even want to ask ourselves this question because we want to say, well, I can achieve 20 things at once. So how can I do that? And yeah, that could be an option, but I prefer the question, if there was only one thing that I could achieve, what would I want it to be? And you'll normally find that there's one goal in particular that you feel would really improve your life or fulfill you, that kind of thing. So I think it's important to ask that question. Another question that also goes along with it is, which of my goals will make the other goals easier? So, lighting's just changing. So, what I mean by that, And I think a health and fitness goal is a good example of where to start, because if you have your life in order in terms of health and fitness, it gives you more energy to achieve everything else. Health and fitness as well, I know some people might disagree with this, doesn't actually take that much time once you have habits and systems in place. In fact, once you have that in place, it actually takes less time than if you don't. So if you get that in order and spend a few months focusing on that, then you can move to the next goal, and that will be even easier to achieve, especially if that goal is going to require large amounts of energy or time, both of which are increased by having your health and fitness together. So they're two of the questions that I ask myself, and yeah, I really think it's so important to ask them. So if there was one goal that I could achieve, what would I want it to be? Just say one answer, please. Please, one answer. It's a priority, not multiple, so just one. And then also thinking as well, which of my goals would make the other goals easier to achieve, and focusing on that. And when you focus on that goal, you decide not to focus on the others. So you're not like, okay, I'm going to do health and fitness, do it for a couple of weeks, the novelty wears off, as it will. I'm going to do a whole nother video on motivation and everything like that. But it's easy when that motivation wears off to then at that point try to switch to a new goal. Totally normal, but not recommended. So yeah, I'm going to be talking more about that in another video, because if you can't tell, I could talk about that all day. It is relevant to this, but a different issue. So it's really important to be decisive, and once you have made that decision, to set an amount of time that you're going to focus on that one goal before you judge whether or not it's working. This is so important. And a week or 2 weeks is not enough, especially like health and fitness goals. Actually, any goal, you need to do it, I would say, don't hate me for this answer, for 3 months, 12 weeks of dedicated focus before you can judge whether or not it's working. It's really tempting to judge things as we go. So we're going to the gym, we feel really motivated for the first few days, and part of that, I think, is that we're not expecting to get results in 2 days. So we're not disheartened by lack of results, and there's a few other factors. But as time goes on and it's week 2, we kind of are, even though we know intellectually we shouldn't see any physical differences yet or anything like that, we get a bit down on ourselves that we're not getting results, and then that makes us feel disheartened, and we stop feeling motivated because it feels like our hard work isn't paying off, and then we stop before we even get to a point where it could have worked. So it's really, really important to give yourself 3 months. I know that sounds like forever, and if you're only focusing on one goal, then like it's going to be till the end of the year till you have all your goals. But if you do it by trying to approach everything at once and only doing it for as long as you feel motivated, you're going to have 0 by the end of the year. So that's why it's so important to give yourself a period of time where you don't judge whether or not it's working, you just commit to showing up. And as I was saying, that in and of itself is a whole nother thing, and I have a lot of advice around that. So I'll be doing a video on it, and I will definitely be sharing that with all of you. So it is really important to focus on one and to give yourself 3 months judgment-free, not thinking, is this working? Is this worth the effort? That's a question a lot of perfectionists ask. Is this worth the effort? Because we have this fear of wasting effort, because part of perfectionism is thinking that the only thing that's important is the result. So we only will do hard work if it's guaranteed to get us a result. Unfortunately, in life, most good things are not guaranteed, so we don't get very far. So yeah, that's really my advice. Give it time, and also to invest in it. So this could be an investment of time, it could be an investment of money, could be both, but to really commit to making that goal happen. So I will give a few examples from my life after I have a sip of coffee. It's actually pretty cold now, but I'm going to continue with it. So one example from my life is with health and fitness. So last year I started investing in a personal trainer, which at the time I was like, this is so expensive. But I'd had years I've always been a gym person, in the sense that I really do I don't often feel like going to the gym, but like in hindsight, I like it, if that makes sense. So I do like going to the gym, but that doesn't mean I feel like it. Please, I'll talk about this more in the motivation one, but there's this whole big misconception that people who like going to the gym always feel like it. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like, I really feel like going to the gym. That's not how I do it. I never really feel like it, but I know that after it will benefit me, and I'm connected to that instead of asking myself, do I feel like it? But anyway, that is a different thing, one which I love talking about, so I will definitely do it. So where was I? Investing. So before that, I'd always been going to the gym, but I never really saw results. I definitely, I wasn't super overweight or anything. I was probably still very healthy by normal standards, but I wasn't achieving the goals that I wanted to achieve. And I also spent a lot of time thinking about whether or not I should go to the gym and what I should eat, and wasted a lot of mental energy just feeling overwhelmed and having no clear direction. And because I used to rely on motivation, I would never really get results. But I was putting in effort all the time, which is why it was so difficult, because I felt like I really was trying my hardest and it never got me where I wanted it to get me. So I decided to invest in personal training sessions. When I started, I didn't know exactly why I wanted it. Well, I kind of did. I didn't really need the accountability, though that definitely helps, but I just wanted to be told what to do. So yeah, I just wanted someone to tell me what to do. So I was willing to invest money and make it a financial priority to me. Yes, personal training is expensive. I'm not saying that you need it, but the way I saw it was, well, if I'm not spending that money on personal training, what would I be spending it on? And when I answered that question, none of those things would really improve my life, whereas I knew personal training would. And if you believe something will improve your life, it will, because you will make it improve your life. Does that make any sense? So I went in believing that this would really change my life, and it has. I've had a PT probably for 9 months now. I have completely changed my mindset around food, which has been life-changing, honestly. And I think that investment has paid itself off over and over and over again. So that's one way I invested in achieving that goal to accelerate it. I had been trying by myself. I wasn't happy with the results. So I knew it was time to get help. I did. I'm so glad I did. So investing money is definitely one way to accelerate a goal. Another way is to invest time. So I obviously had to invest quite a lot of time. Actually, no. It doesn't take that much time to get fit, but it really does take some organization and learning that whole motivation discipline thing, which I will talk about later. But if it's a priority for me, I need to make that time every day, or at least every other day. I have a tendency to overdo things, so I was doing it every day, but really investing the time and not expecting a result if you're not investing time and energy and effort and money into it. Or not necessarily money. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't expect something to work if you're not really honestly trying. So I could get a PT, but if I didn't do what he said, like, I can't expect to get results just by magically spending money on a personal trainer. I had to invest the time and the energy into following his advice, doing exactly what he said, learning, being open to trying new things, looking at my beliefs, all of that kind of thing. So really does require time and energy, and money will help accelerate it if you can find someone amazing to help you. So, and there are a lot of amazing people out there that will help you. So if you really do want to accelerate a goal, then I really do think it is worthwhile to spend money on it. I think it's so interesting. This is just a side note, but like, if I tell people that I have a personal trainer, oh, isn't that so expensive? Like, everyone has all these beliefs around, like, we're told, if I said I spent that money on a dress every week, literally no one would have anything to say. Like, that, it doesn't bring up, like we have been told that it's okay to spend money on material things. So if I was saying I buy one dress every week, oh, that's so expensive, no one would say that shit. Maybe if I said I buy 10 a week, then people would, but one dress a week, fine. But if I said I spend that same money on something that will improve me as a person, like, people, oh, so expensive. Like, I don't get it that we don't want to invest money in things that will actually really improve our lives, and yet we are so willing to spend money on things that don't. As you know, if you buy a dress, you feel amazing about it, but you've probably, by the time you get it home, you're already thinking about what you want to buy next. It's very temporary. It's really that instant gratification. Whereas if you spend that same money on something else, personal development related, health related, mental health related, that just pays itself off. You get the benefit over and over again. So just a side note there. But if you're thinking, oh, that's so expensive, just think, like, I'm talking about any goal here, not just getting PT. If you know there's something you've been thinking about, oh, I could do this and it would really help me, like maybe getting meal prep delivered to you. I know there's so many food services now. Maybe that is getting a coach. Maybe that's signing up for an online course. Think about, why you think that's expensive, and why it isn't a financial priority to you to do something that will improve your life, whereas you will happily spend money on something that only gives you that instant gratification. Just something to think about. So that's what happened with health and fitness, and I'm so much stronger than I used to be. Like, can't even believe how much stronger I've gotten. But the main change has been that I'm now in such a great habit with exercising and a great mindset that I'm not, like, I've really changed my relationship with myself. Like, I'm really not as judgmental as I used to be. I don't beat myself up for eating junk food. Like, it's just, I never believed I could be here, and I honestly don't think I could have gotten here by myself. It really is important to get help sometimes. So that was great. Another example I want to talk about is with blogging. So, as you might know, sorry, I need another sip of this. Okay, so I started my blog in August 2013, didn't post on it till December 2013, and until April 2016, a year ago now, I had so much fear and self-doubt that I really was holding myself back. I could literally never fathom that I would ever be just sitting here doing an unedited video and then I just upload it to YouTube straight away and share it. Like, so cool. Anyway, so I was blogging and wanting it to grow and wanting to succeed at the same time, holding myself back, being scared to share it, being scared to talk about it, basically being scared that I'd get laughed at. and I never really put the time and energy into it. I really did feel like I was putting a lot of energy into it, but that energy, a lot of that energy was me holding myself back and like battling myself. And I so easily came up with excuses for why I couldn't post. I'm too busy, too tired, and especially like working full time as well. It's so easy to fall into that too tired trap. I'm also going to be talking about that in another video. So I was really scared, basically, and it was so easy to find excuses. So I felt like I was making progress, and slowly I was, but very slowly. Then in April, I invested in an online course, and when I invested in it, I decided that I was going to really do everything the course said. I knew there'd be some things that I wouldn't quite agree with, and I knew as well in a way that I wouldn't be able to apply it all because there's only a certain amount of time, and the course was very optimistic. Like it presumed you had a lot of time, and I didn't. So anyway, I really decided when I bought that course, I'm going to do everything in my power to make this a success, to make it worth the money that I'm spending. And it definitely has. As I was talking about before, that is because I decided that it would. So it did. But I also said to myself, how can I make the time? As you know, time is very hard to find, especially if you're working full time. And with blogging or anything creative, for me at least, I'm a morning person, which doesn't mean I feel like waking up early, or it doesn't feel natural, but I do feel more productive in the first few hours of the day than I do in the last few hours. Some people work really well at night, but after a full day of work, I have zero creative energy left, especially for writing, because I was writing all day and looking at a computer screen. And because Steve was working weekends and I was working 9 to 5 during the week, night times were the only time for me to hang out with him. Luckily, we do live together, so that makes it easier, but I didn't want to get home and then just go straight to a computer, go to bed, wake up before he's woken up, leave the house before I get to talk to him. So the only option I could see to really move the needle forward and create momentum was to wake up early. And I chose to wake up at 4 a.m., which in hindsight, I don't know like where it came from, but I figured out that I wanted to touch it every day. It sounds so like sexual. I don't mean it that way. I mean, like, I think when you have a goal, you need to, I can't think of a better way to describe it than to say to touch it, to do something to move the needle forward every single day, instead of like having a big spurt once a week. I think it's better to just have it as a constant thing you're working towards. So I wanted to do it every day. I wanted 2 hours a day. And when I did the calculations, like, I needed to get the train to work at like 7:30. So I needed to get ready. So basically it ended up being that I needed to wake up at 4 so that I would have 2 hours, then I could get ready for work and go in. So that's what I did. And I'm so grateful to my past self for making that decision, because combining that advice in the online course that I was determined to put into practice, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, in the sense that I could have got all that information for free on the internet, but just having someone put it all in order for me, and I could then stop reading all the other blog posts about how to like be a successful blogger, and I could just focus on this advice in the order that it was. So valuable to have that, because it just gave me a plan and I could just work through it. So I was really committed to making that happen. The course was Your First 1K by Mariah Coz of Femtrepreneur. I do highly recommend the course. I really did get results many times over from applying the course, but I think anything works as long as you apply it. So investing the money forced me to find the time to do it, make the time, and it took me months. As I was saying before, you really need to choose a certain amount of time. I was committed to doing the course, and I think the course was meant to be over 8 weeks, but I could not get through it in that time because it was kind of like, if you didn't have anything else to do this course, whereas I was working full time, trying to be a good girlfriend, trying to have a social life, trying to be fit and healthy. So I really think that having that amount of time where you do something without judgment is so important, because I was so committed to just showing up and doing the course that the results came. But if I was constantly asking, oh, this isn't working, is this working? Oh no, I haven't seen any result yet. It'd be so easy to give up, especially when I'm waking up at 4 a.m, which I never, ever, ever felt like doing. Like, you're waking up in pitch black, Steve's in bed, all warm and cuddly, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna get up and do this for 2 hours and then go to a full day of work. It doesn't always feel good. So, but I was so committed to actually finally making progress. Similar to with health and fitness, I was just frustrated that I'd put so much time and energy in, and the time and energy was going into this struggle, me fighting myself, that I wanted to redirect that time and energy into something, get out of my own way. So that really made a huge difference. And when I was focusing on growing my blog, I had all my other goals to the side. So I started that in April, and that was really my main focus for about 3 months. And I started personal training July, I think. So I had about 3 months, and then that was a routine, and then I added in personal training. And just a word on time, if I can spend 2 hours a day blogging, find time to exercise every day. I mean, I did eventually burn out, but I think if you're telling yourself, if you're just going to your full-time job and you're telling yourself you're too tired, I think maybe you need to have a think about whether you are really using your time as best as you can. I loved doing something for myself before I did something for my boss, if that makes sense. My first priority every day was doing something for me, a personal goal that I was working towards. So whether that's blogging, health and fitness, career, whatever it is for you, do it for yourself. Look after yourself first every day, and it really does create momentum. So what else did I write? That's it, I think. What's time? Oh, nearly 30 minutes. Okay. So I really think, just to kind of run over what I have spoken about, it's so important to choose something to focus on. And when you make that decision to leave the others, I know that's so hard, especially if you're in that mindset where you really want to improve your life and you can see 20 different ways to improve it all at once, and you feel like they're all a must. To pull yourself out of that and just say, well, if I could only achieve one, because really you only can, what would I want that to be? What would it be if I just had to pick one? And once you've made that decision, let the rest go. Put it down in a list somewhere. I mean, don't completely forget about it, but choose not to get distracted, because as you move through your new goal, there will be obstacles and setbacks and disruptions. That's part of it. And at those points in time, you will want the new shiny thing to distract you. And usually we do that. Oh no, this isn't working. I'll just try this instead, because we want that instant gratification and we want instant results. And yet when we do that approach, we get no results because we don't do anything for long enough, or we try to do everything at once, like completely change our lives overnight. We can only stick to it for a few days because we're trying to change 20 habits at once, which does not work. I know because I've tried it so many times. Yeah, and part of the goal setting is really habits. So I'll use my examples of blogging and health and fitness. So when I was blogging and waking up at 4 a.m., I waited until that was a habit before I added in my new health and fitness stuff. Like at that time I was still going to the gym. And that's part of the reason I was actually waking up at 4 was because I blogged for 2 hours and then I went to the gym just up the street. I then later changed to going to the gym near my work, which was amazing. But yeah, it's really important to, as you're creating that new goal, creating the habits that go along with it. I do have an online course called Dream Habit where I teach everything about habits and how to create them, and motivation and discipline and all of that kind of thing. That's so important, and it is for perfectionists. So if you're all or nothing, it is for you. But really, when you're working towards that goal and you're having your 3-month judgment-free period, which is what I'm doing with this YouTube channel, by the way, it's so important, because I know if I judge how good it's going, I'm going to want to stop, just because everyone has that period at the beginning. Like, I'm a normal person. I have fear, I have self-doubt, and I don't know how confident I appear, but I still have in my mind, like, what if no one finds it helpful? What if no one wants to watch it? What if I say something wrong? I'm not editing it, so I mean, I essentially don't watch it back. Like, I get to the end of a video, yeah, that felt good, publish it. Like, that's how I am having my 3-month judgment-free period. At the end of that 3 months, I will have a look at how I've gone. I'm sure I will improve so much in the 3 months, but I won't let myself stop, and I won't let myself judge it until I get to that 3-month point. Before then, like, I know there's going to be ups and downs. I'll have days where I'm like, yes, that was amazing. I'll have days where I'm like, but it's so important to have that judgment-free period, because that's always going to happen. Everyone has that awkward beginning stage, and you have to get through it. And I find that removing judgment is the best way to do that. See, this is what I'm talking about. I just can't speak. One of the other habits that I really, and this is when I learned this whole like 3-month no judgment thing, is when I was getting into Bikram yoga. Which I haven't done for ages. I miss it so much. But I have new things I'm focusing on at the moment, so I'm trying not to straddle 20 at once. But I had tried to get into the Bikram yoga habit a few times. This was 2000 and, well, I first tried in 2012, and then when I got back from exchange in Montreal in 2013, I just got back, and like, I'd eaten so much and I'd drunk so much, and I'd just been in winter for 5 months, and I was like, oh, I just feel like I need something to shake it up. So when I did that, I decided that I would commit to 3 months of doing Bikram yoga 6 times per week. And once I got to the end of the 3 months, that's when I judged whether it was for me. In 2012, I tried a few times. I only ever lasted a week because I was relying on motivation. And, you know, who feels motivated to be in a 38-degree room, Celsius for those of you in the US, in a really hot room for 90 minutes? Like, the novelty wears off very quickly. So yeah, I'd only been trying to go 3 times a week. I couldn't even stick to that. But when I was creating the new one, I made it 6 times a week, and the reason for that was because when it was 3 times a week, this is what I do. Monday, oh, I don't need to go today. I'm only going 3 times. I need to go 3 times. There's still 6 days left. Tuesday, same thing. Wednesday, same thing. Oh, still don't need to go yet. There's more than 3 days left. But by then I'd also like disappointed myself so much already that it was really hard to pull myself into that space of doing something when I didn't feel like it. Then I wouldn't go at the end of the week, and also stuff would come up on the weekends, and it was so hard to do that. But when I went 6 times a week, it changed the question. So it went from being, will I go to Bikram yoga today, to what time will I go to Bikram yoga today? And knowing I only had 1 free day a week, which I wanted to save, and I always tried to save it until the Sunday, like just because I knew something would come up every week, which is why I didn't make it 7 days. So I committed to doing it for 3 months, 6 times a week. Obviously, when you actually commit to doing something nearly every day for 3 months, you do improve very quickly. So I had that 3 months of judgement-free. Like after every class, I wasn't like, oh, am I good yet? Is this worth it? I just like patted myself on the back for going. And then by the end of 3 months, I obviously wanted to keep going because I'd gotten so good at it from not trying to be good at it. Does that make sense? Like the only way I ever got to a point where I could really start to get it was by stopping asking myself, is this working? Because especially Bikram yoga, you don't, like for me, I'd say it took a month to really feel the benefit of doing that. Like the mental, not so much the physical, like my body didn't change. It was the mental, like investing that time in myself. You don't talk in Bikram yoga. They call it like a moving meditation kind of thing, because the teachers say exactly the same words. They'll say a few different things, but it's the same dialogue. And you also spend the first month trying to learn the moves, trying to, you're looking around at what everyone else is doing, trying to figure it out. And then after a month, especially if you're going 6 times a week, you know some of the postures, and you can really start to go to that next level. But if I'd been asking myself in week 1, is this working? The answer would be, hell no, it's not. I'm going to quit. So, long story short, I've had a lot of success in the past whenever I have either intentionally or unintentionally done this whole 3 months no judgment thing. I know it sounds like the longest time, but if you think back, 3 months, it really isn't that long. Like, wasn't it just Christmas? I feel like it really was. So really choose a goal, leave all the others aside for now. Choose a goal that if there was one you'd want to achieve, it would be that one. And also try to make it a goal that would make your others easier. So I always recommend a health and fitness, mental health kind of goal, because then you get yourself in the right headspace to achieve so much more. And leave all the others aside. Expect the novelty to wear off very, very quickly, especially if you're not seeing results. Any goal worth achieving, you are very likely not going to see any results for at least, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks, which is why I give it 3 months. And yeah, there's a big discipline piece in that, which I will be doing a video on. And discipline, I just will say here, isn't like, I know people have negative connotations around discipline, and they think that discipline is punishment, because we often talk about like disciplining a child and that kind of thing. But discipline, when I say the word discipline, I just want you to think of the ability to make a plan and follow through with your plan. Discipline is just following through with your plan. So imagine how amazing your life would be if every plan you ever made you could follow through with. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how good that would be. That's all I'm talking about with discipline. Making a plan. I'm going to do this for 3 months every day. And at the end of the 3 months, I will ask myself, is it worth continuing or not? And just following that plan, not saying that plan at the beginning and then 2 days in being like, oh shit, this isn't working. I knew this was never for me. I'm going to try something else. Like, just bet on yourself, back yourself that you can do something for 3 months without a result and stick with it. And know that if you get to the end of the 3 months and you decide not to continue, there still couldn't have been a better way to invest your time, because A, you've got a definitive answer on whether or not you want to do that, instead of spending probably 3 months being like, oh, I don't know whether I should start a blog, or I don't know whether I should go to the gym. Like, you've actually tested out whether or not you should, and you've given it a real go. So you have the information you need to decide, no, that wasn't for me, or yes, it was. And you're also learning so much about discipline, follow through, same thing, not relying on motivation. Yeah, there's so many skills you learn from doing something for 3 months, judgement-free, not asking yourself continually, is this worth the effort? Why aren't I getting results? Why does this always happen to me? So these are my thoughts on prioritizing goals and creating momentum in your life. I hope you found this helpful, and Lindsey, thank you so much again for the question. If you do want me to do a video on anything, please send me an email, sam@smart-20s.com, or say hi in the Facebook community. I'll be doing a post and people can reply with what they'd like me to talk about. But I'll also be like, I get so many emails with heaps of questions, so I'm going to be going through some of them as well, and also just sharing a bit more about me. Just chatting, just like I'd actually chat to you in person. So hope this has been helpful, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.